Have you ever imagined what your life would be like if each prayer you prayed had the power to transform your reality, move mountains, and bring unexpected answers? Prayer is more than words thrown to the wind. It is an intimate dialogue with the Creator, a path that few truly understand. Many believe that praying is just asking, but there is a deeper secret that few explore. Prayer, when done with authentic faith, can be the key to unlocking miracles, bringing revelations, and changing destinies. As the modern world bombards us with distractions, God calls us to a place of stillness and connection. What if you could learn to pray so effectively that your spirituality would intensify every day? Many seek to understand how their prayers can be more effective by looking to the Bible for answers. The sacred texts reveal to us that prayer is not just a ritual of words, but an intimate transformation of the soul that connects with the divine. Spirituality is reinforced in the scriptures, highlighting that sincere prayer with faith can move mountains. Analyzing biblical passages, it is observed that the prophets and apostles emphasized the importance of humility and persistence. As a practical example, someone seeking a deeper relationship with God could start a daily devotional by exploring the Psalms, which are filled with cries and praises, thus reflecting a genuine and fervent prayer practice. However, understanding the mechanism by which prayer operates is just as important as the practice itself. Intercession is a powerful biblical principle where we pray not only for our needs, but also for those of others, strengthening our connection to the community and broadening our spiritual vision. Such a practice enriches the life of prayer and demonstrates the transforming capacity of true faith. The prayer that Jesus taught his disciples, known as the Lord's Prayer, is a model of simplicity and spiritual depth. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Matthew chapter 6:9. Teaches us to begin our prayers with adoration and reverence, acknowledging God's sovereignty. This approach helps us align our spirit with the divine, bringing an elevated perspective to our spiritual dialogue. Continuing the prayer, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Matthew chapter 6, 10, reflects the surrender and faith required in our supplications. By asking for God's will to prevail, we let go of our personal desires, transforming our requests into intercessions aligned with divine purposes. It is a clear example of how we should prioritize heavenly intentions over earthly ones. The segment of the prayer that says, Give us this day our daily bread, Matthew 6:11, serves as a reminder of the daily dependence we must have on God for our basic needs. This part teaches us about the humility and gratitude that should permeate our daily devotional. Thus, by modeling our own prayers on the Lord's Prayer, we not only follow a divine example, but we learn to weave faith into every word and action of our spiritual life. When it comes to praying, the attitude with which we approach God is key. Humility is highlighted in several biblical passages, such as in God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble, James chapter 4:6. This truth underscores the need to approach the altar of prayer with an open and submissive heart, acknowledging our dependence on God for all things. In addition to humility, sincerity is another essential pillar in preparing for prayer. It is crucial that we be truthful in our conversations with God, without pretensions or masks. Psalm 145:18 reminds us that the Lord is near to all who call upon him, in truth. This encourages us to be authentic by sharing our innermost thoughts and emotions with the Creator. Finally, preparing for prayer can also involve creating an environment conducive to reflection and spiritual dialogue. This can be something as simple as dedicating a quiet space at home where we can kneel and focus our thoughts and hearts on God without interruption. This space, even if it is a small corner, becomes a personal sanctuary where spiritual transformation and faith are renewed daily. The relationship between prayer and faith is intrinsic and vital. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Hebrews 11:6 teaches us that faith is the basis of effective communication with the divine. When we pray, faith acts as the channel through which our prayers can be heard and answered, evidencing the belief that God is working on our behalf, even when we don't see immediate results. This conviction is reinforced by the promise that all things are possible to him who believes. Mark 9:23. In prayer contexts, this means that our expectations should be shaped by complete trust in God's ability and will to intervene in our lives. To illustrate, a person who prays for the health of a loved one with sincere faith is not only asking for help, but also putting their trust in God's goodness and power. Finally, faith during prayer also prepares us to receive answers, whether they are immediate or not. Perseverance in prayer, fueled by faith, teaches us patience and spiritual resilience. The Apostle Paul reminds us that we are to pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians 5:17, a practice that keeps our faith active and our spirit attentive to the subtleties of divine communication. Intercessory prayer is an act of love and sacrifice, where we place ourselves as mediators between God and those in need of intercession. The Bible is full of examples where great spiritual leaders interceded for the people. Moses is a notable example, who interceded for the Israelites several times, such as when he asked God to spare his people after the golden calf incident. Exodus 32:11-14. This type of prayer demonstrates a deep faith in God's ability to forgive and transform situations. This act of intercession is not only for spiritual leaders, but is within everyone's reach. Every Christian is called to pray for others, following the example of Christ, who interceded for his disciples and for those who would come to believe in him through his words. John 17:20. This strengthens the faith community and deepens our own spirituality by showing how we are connected to one another through divine love. Additionally, praying for others helps us cultivate a spirit of empathy and compassion, which are key to spiritual growth. As we take time to intercede for those in difficulty, such as in times of illness or despair, we are reminded of God's omnipresence and his willingness to hear our prayers. Thus, intercessory prayer not only benefits those for whom we pray, but also transforms us, enriching our devotional life and our faith. Fasting, when combined with prayer, is a powerful spiritual practice that fosters a deeper connection with God. In the Bible, Jesus guides us on how to fast properly. When you fast, do not be grieved like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces that men may see that they are fasting. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. Matthew 6:16. This teaching highlights the importance of fasting with a pure heart, not as a spectacle to others, but as a sincere expression of faith and seeking God. Fasting helps to discipline the body and mind, keeping away worldly distractions and focusing on the spiritual. This practice can be particularly powerful when we are seeking clarity in a decision or comfort during a time of grief or crisis. For example, someone may decide to fast from social media or television for a period, devoting the time saved to prayer and meditation on Scripture. In addition, fasting is a way to emulate biblical figures who sought God at crucial moments in their lives. Daniel fasted and prayed for divine understanding and was rewarded with visions that affected not only his life, but the entire history of his people. Daniel chapter 10:2-3. Thus, by incorporating fasting into our prayer life, we not only follow a biblical model, but open our hearts to receive teachings and revelations that can transform our lives. Perseverance in prayer is one of the most valuable lessons we can learn. The parable of the persistent widow, which Jesus shares in Luke 18:1-8, illustrates the importance of not giving up, even when responses seem to be delayed. The widow continues to ask for justice, showing her determination and unwavering faith until she is finally heard by the judge. This teaching emphasizes that we should pray always and never give up. Persistence in prayer is not only a demonstration of faith, but an exercise in hope and patience. In today's fast-paced world, where immediate answers are often expected, persistent prayer teaches us to wait on the Lord and trust in His timing and will. For example, someone may be praying for advancement in their career or the restoration of a broken relationship, and it is essential to maintain constancy in prayer, even without seeing immediate results. Finally, perseverance in prayer is also a testimony to our dependence on God. It reflects a deep faith that recognizes God as the source of all strength and solution. This can inspire others around us to pursue a more committed and hopeful prayer life, seeing in our example that ongoing prayer is a pillar for a robust spiritual life. Facing distractions during prayer is a common challenge, but one that can be overcome with mindful and deliberate practices. The Bible encourages us to seek a quiet place for our conversations with God, as Jesus did when He withdrew to secluded places to pray, Luke 5:16. Creating an environment conducive to prayer, free from technological interruptions and everyday noise, can significantly improve our ability to focus and connect spiritually. In addition to the physical environment, preparing the mind and heart before you begin to pray is essential. One can practice deep breathing or meditate on a specific verse to center one's thoughts and calm one's soul. These techniques help to empty the mind of daily worries and focus on God's presence, facilitating deeper and more meaningful prayer. Another effective strategy is to keep a prayer journal. Writing down thoughts and worries before you start praying can free your mind from the weight of these distractions. Additionally, recording prayers and their responses over time can be a powerful encouragement, reminding us of God's constant care and helping to stay focused on future prayer sessions. Prayer often intertwines with praise and worship, forming an expression of faith that lifts both the spirit and the heart. In the book of Psalms, we find an ideal model for how to integrate worship into prayer. Enter through its gates with thanksgiving and into its courts with praise. Give thanks to Him and bless His name. Psalm 100:4. This verse directs us to begin our prayers with gratitude and praise, acknowledging the blessings that God has already bestowed upon us. By integrating worship into our prayer practice, we not only approach God with respect and reverence, but we also cultivate a more thankful heart that is attentive to the wonders He accomplishes in our lives. For example, starting the day with a song of praise can prepare our spirits to face difficulties with a more positive and hopeful attitude. In addition, worship in times of prayer helps us maintain a deeper connection with God, strengthening our faith and spirituality. It allows us to transcend earthly concerns and focus on the majesty and goodness of God, which enriches our experience of prayer and propels us to seek even more intimate communion with the Creator. The practice of prayer has undergone a significant evolution between the Old and New Testaments, reflecting the changes in the relationship between God and man. In the Old Testament, prayer often took the form of supplications and sacrifices performed by priests on behalf of the people, as is illustrated in the case of Abraham interceding for Sodom, Genesis chapter 18, 23-33. This type of intercession highlighted the distance between the faithful and the divine. With the coming of Christ, prayer took on a more personal and direct form. Not only did Jesus pray intensely in private moments, such as in Gethsemane, Mark 14:32-42, but He also taught His disciples to pray directly to the Father in a tone of intimacy and trust, as demonstrated in the Lord's Prayer, Matthew chapter 6, 9-13. This shift is critical to understanding God's reachability in the New Testament, where prayer becomes an open and personal dialogue with God, Furthermore, the New Testament emphasizes prayer as an act that should be constant, not limited to specific or intermediate times. Paul advises to pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, Psalm 17, highlighting prayer as an ongoing practice that is integrated into the daily lives of believers. This orientation underlines the new dynamic of the relationship between man and the divine, marked by closeness and constant spiritual communication. Prayer is often a channel through which God communicates and reveals His will to the faithful. In the book of Acts, we see how prayer prepared Peter's heart for an important revelation about the acceptance of Gentiles into the Christian community, as exemplified in Joppa's vision. Acts 10, 9-16. This time illustrates how prayer not only solicits answers from God, but also prepares us to receive and understand His instructions. This dynamic is essential to the Christian walk, as divine revelation often guides the actions and decisions of believers. For example, a young person looking for direction for his career can dedicate himself to prayer, seeking to understand which path to follow. In response, through the stillness and focus that prayer provides, he may feel a momentum or clarity that was previously inaccessible to him, thus perceiving God's promptings in his life. In addition, prayer as a means of revelation reinforces the need for constant and attentive practice. By dedicating regular time to prayer, we increase our sensitivity to perceive the nuances of divine communication, whether through the peace that certain decisions bring us or through synchronicities and events that seem to respond directly to our questions. Thus, prayer is established not only as a request, but as a transforming dialogue with God. The effectiveness of prayer is often most felt through personal testimonies that illustrate its transformative power. Stories of answered prayers serve as a strong testimony to God's active presence in daily life. For example, the account of an individual who overcame a serious illness after a faith community came together in prayer not only inspires faith, but also reinforces the importance of intercession and mutual support. These testimonies also serve to strengthen the community of believers by showing how shared faith can lead to palpable miracles. Many churches and religious groups regularly share these stories in their gatherings, encouraging spirituality and devotion among their members. Additionally, these accounts are often utilized in devotional literature and teaching programs, helping to instill hope and perseverance in the practice of prayer. In addition, stories of answered prayers not only recount the miracles, but also highlight the spiritual and personal growth that comes with the journey of faith. For example, someone who has prayed for family reconciliation and seen their family restored can testify not only about the answer to prayer, but also about how that experience has transformed them, making them more understanding and committed to Christian principles. In times of crisis, prayer becomes a solid anchor that keeps the heart steady amid the storms of life. The Bible shows us clear examples of this practice, such as David, who often cried out to God in times of trouble, as in Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This verse is a powerful reminder that in the midst of chaos, we can find peace and safety in the divine presence. Prayer in these moments is not only a request for help, but also a way to align our will with God's, seeking comfort and guidance. When we face difficulties, whether in health, finances, or relationships, a consistent prayer practice allows us to surrender our burdens and find relief. Just like Jesus, who prayed intensely in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion, Matthew 26:39, we can find in prayer the strength needed to face any challenge. In addition, praying during crises also promotes inner transformation, helping us to cultivate resilience and a more mature faith. As we learn to rely more on God and less on our own strength, we discover new depths of spirituality and intercession. Prayer becomes then not just an act of supplication, but a daily exercise of trust in a God who promises to be with us, even in the darkest valleys. Modern science has increasingly focused on the effects of prayer on health and well-being, revealing surprising results. Studies have shown that regular prayer practice can reduce stress and anxiety levels, promote inner peace, and even improve blood pressure. Research such as those conducted by Harvard University indicates that people who pray regularly have a lower risk of depression, showing how spirituality can positively impact mental health. These benefits also extend to physical well-being, creating an interesting connection between body and spirit. In a study conducted by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, it was observed that patients undergoing intercessory prayer interventions had faster recoveries after heart surgeries. This suggests that the practice of prayer can influence not only the emotional state, but also the physiological responses of the body, promoting a faster recovery. Additionally, prayer can be a powerful tool for strengthening resilience in difficult situations. People who pray often report an increased sense of purpose and hope, even in the midst of adversity. By connecting with the divine through prayer, we promote a state of mind that favors healing, transformation, and personal growth, demonstrating that, in addition to being a spiritual act, prayer also has proven effects in promoting health and well-being. Creating a dedicated space for prayer at home can be an effective way to encourage more consistent and deeper spiritual practice. It is not necessary to have a large environment. A small corner with a comfortable chair, a Bible, a prayer journal, and a few elements that bring tranquility, such as candles or plants, may be enough. The important thing is that it is a place that promotes peace and facilitates spiritual connection, allowing intercession and devotional to happen without interruption. The choice of location should also consider privacy and silence. Finding a space that offers a certain degree of isolation helps you avoid distractions and noise that can interrupt concentration during prayer. Some opt for an outdoor space, such as a garden or balcony, where contact with nature can intensify the spiritual experience. Whatever the environment, the fundamental thing is that it is intentionally prepared for the practice of prayer. Additionally, it is helpful to establish a regular time for this time, creating a routine that helps incorporate prayer as an essential part of the day. Having a specific physical space makes it easier to disconnect from daily activities and focus on dialogue with God. This practice can be a powerful source of transformation, cultivating a deeper spirituality and a more active and renewed faith life. After exploring all these aspects about prayer, it is clear that there is a vast field of possibilities waiting to be discovered by you. Prayer has the power to transform not only situations, but also hearts, to open doors that seemed closed, and to bring a peace that surpasses all understanding. But the question that remains is, are you really willing to apply this knowledge in your life? To start building a deeper, more meaningful relationship with God through prayer today? How about taking a few minutes out of your day to start this journey? How about creating your prayer space, trying fasting, or simply starting by giving more thanks? Change starts with a small step. And remember, the longer you persist, the more you'll see results. So, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue learning and growing on this spiritual journey. Together, we can discover even more about the incredible power of prayer.